Hello and welcome to Health and Wellbeing. I am Lois Nwobodo. We often think that our mind and body are separate, but our mental health and physical health are interconnected. Research also says nearly 1 in 3 people with a long-term physical health condition also has mental health problems, most often depression or anxiety. Well, today on the program, we will be discussing how our mental health affects our physical health. Our guest is Lois Nwobodo, who is a mental health advocate and a self-confidence coach. She has helped over 200 people boost and maintain their self-confidence. She's also an author of 2 books, the most notable being Who Am I?, which chronicles her struggle with bipolar disorder. Lois, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And it's nice having you once again.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here.
Okay, so straight to our discussion. Talking about our mental health and our physical health, how does our mental health affect our physical health?
In every way. In the way we stand, in the way we eat, in the way we are productive in our lives, in how long we live. So it's like asking me, how does the sun affect life on earth? So there is no health without mental health. And that means that your mental health has to be in sync or healthy so that your physical health can also be well.
Okay, so basically I think the basis of this question is there's just sometimes we feel like there is a disconnect, like when we talk about my head is aching, so people just feel it's a physical thing and not being able to relate it with your psychological being, you know, and we just feel like they're disconnected. They're not, this one is separate, leave this one at one side and this one is on one side. No, but in our well-being, so the point is, if I have headache or I have a form of physical illness, how does it relate with my mental health?
If a person has gone through a stressful time, perhaps grief, they are grieving, and they are not able to cope with that grief, or they have little or no support system, their body becomes overwhelmed by the grief, for instance, because your body has hormones, which are chemical messengers. So they connect to your brain, that's your mind, and thus to your body. Now, when those hormones aren't balanced because of the stress from the grief, it would affect your body so that it becomes, say, maybe ulceric or inflamed. So there is a connection between our mental health and our physical health. It's like saying gravity that we cannot see. Yeah. Even if we cannot see gravity, but if you throw something up, it must surely come down. Yeah. So we don't see, but it is real.
So, you know, like the first point of treatment, I would say from the layman's perspective, for if someone is not mentally balanced, is therapy, you know. But there are some forms of mental illnesses that actually require medication. And, you know, therapy is not like medication, that pills that you have to take, you have to swallow, inject. But for forms of mental disorders that now translate to you having to take medication, would we say that it has a point where it crossed from it being just mental? And so let's take, for example, some forms of depression when you're clinically diagnosed and then you begin to be put on medication, you know. Now, how do we get to that point where it goes beyond just being mental and being clinically diagnosed for you to even start taking medication?
I'm going to answer your question with an example. Antonia Ojenobon, she's an anti-rape activist. She was raped for 6 years by her uncle. Every night he raped her for 6 good years. And she couldn't speak out or speak up because everyone thought that she was just lying. Or she thought that everyone would think that she's lying because the man was seen as a good person and had a good standing and things like that. But today, as she tells her story, she has braces on her neck. She has serious shoulder pain, right? She cannot really walk well. And she says that those things were the effect of the rape. That in fact, when she went to her doctor to complain about the neck and all, he just turned and said, "Were you raped as a child?" And he didn't know her before then. He just asked her. So for some reason, he could see, in quotes, that this thing that's happening to this woman isn't just some physical stuff, but something that was caused by a rape, right? Now, the body needs support. When you eat food, it's from the outside source, right? It's from outside that you eat food. And it serves both as nutrition and medicine to your body. Because if you take fruits, then that helps to make your body feel better and all of that. So the point where a person begins to need medication is simply the point where someone needs to eat better food. That's just the way I can explain it, you know. So because you want to stabilize your hormones, which send those chemicals to your brain and to your body, you have to have support from outside. And thankfully, psychologists and psychiatrists have been able to do those things outside the body, like those pills that we take to help stabilize our hormones. I hope I've answered your question.
Yes. But I believe over time we'll still discuss more on this. But now, talking about our mental health, how do we keep our mental health in check? You know, for you to say, at this point, I know that I am mentally okay. Because I feel like you've said previously on this program, mental health is not just that you are roaming or you are not roaming on the streets, Actually, there are quite a number of things that would mean that you're mentally balanced. So how do you get to that point, or how do you keep your mental health in check?
First of all, you have to understand what mental health is, right? And mental just means mind. This is how you think and how you feel. But because most people think that it is bogus, it's vague, even spiritualistic, they don't take it to be very important. So understanding that there's something called mental health is the first step to keeping it in check. Now, once you've understood that your mind and the way you feel have to be fed, that means you have gone to the first step of keeping it in check, meaning that you are self-aware. So you simply have to be informed. You have to get knowledge. I have physical body. I have my bath. I sweep my house, then wash my clothes. I comb my hair. That's my physical body. That means I should also have something that I cannot see that propels this body to function, which is my mental health, or which includes my mental health, not just my mental health. So having that knowledge, being self-aware, is a first step to keeping your mental health in check. Of course, there's the aspects of food and nutrition and stuff like that, exercise. But first of all, accept that, yes, every day I have to feed something I cannot see, namely my mind, how I feel, and then how I say how I feel to people and to myself even. Right?
Okay, so being self-aware is one. And so when we say someone is mentally unstable, it could be that the person has from the range of so many mental issues. So let's talk about depression. Take, for example, depression. At what point will someone begin to think, I think I'm getting depressed, or I think my mind isn't okay? But you know, like you said earlier, you being self-aware is already keeping you in check. So for somebody looking at someone, at what point should you look at this person and begin to feel that this person isn't mentally stable?
I'll use myself as an example. There was this time I had crisis with my place, where to stay, accommodation issues. So my love interest then was always with me, like talking to me on the phone because he was away. But he kept saying that, Lois, why are you yawning? You've been yawning like all the time that we're talking. What's the problem? So I then thought, okay, why am I actually yawning so much? I'm not hungry, and also what's the problem? I then found out that physical expression of yawning was actually a symptom of anxiety, which is a base for depression. So anxiety and sadness are those two factors that contribute to depression, right? And when a person is able to pause, identify, name what they are feeling, then they're able to take concrete action as to dealing with it.
Okay. There are quite a range of things that people talk about when it comes to depression, and I'd really loved you to delve more into it about when somebody stops being who he used to be. The person begins to act somehow a bit out of character. But sometimes, it's not something that it's easy to like pinpoint. So take for example someone that is very outspoken. The person begins to withdraw, those kind of things. But there's this thing also about our emotions. I know our emotions are part of our mental health as well. Now, how does our emotions affect our mental health and eventually affect our physical health?
Emotions are how you feel. And how you feel is often influenced by how you think, but not all the time. I'm saying this because you have gathered emotions from childhood that you didn't even know were there, and they've been trapped in your body, right? So knowing or being able to name your emotions is going to help you to keep your mental health in check. Now, if a person dwells on difficult emotions often, feels them too strongly, right? That may be a challenge as to coping with depression, for example.
Yeah.
So, for me, what I have done in these kind of cases is not just judging myself by, oh my God, I'm feeling this way. That means I'm a bad person. Do you understand? So I don't judge my emotions. I just describe them. So I don't say, oh my God, the world is going to come to an end because I lost this. Or these people are so bad. What is the emotion that's making me judge that situation as that? So naming your emotions helps you to be in charge and helps you to keep your mental health balanced. But most people aren't taught how to name their emotions. They just say, I'm feeling somehow. What is somehow? What's the name of that somehow you're feeling? You know? Yeah, so I have learned to name my emotions. That means you have to pause. If something around you is making you feel uncomfortable, you have to pause. What's the emotion that this situation is causing me to feel, right? And then how can I deal with this emotion so that I can move from that difficult emotion to one that is more pleasant and easier to feel.
Now we still haven't linked it to how it now affects our mental health and eventually affects our physical health.
Oh, okay. So, take for example, I'm feeling angry about something. I didn't say I am angry. I'm feeling angry. It's a difference. Identity is I am, and then feeling is emotion. So say I'm feeling angry, and then I'm trying to buckle my shoe or my belt. Because of that anger, I may begin to shake. Do you see? I begin to shake, and then I can't buckle the shoe or the belt. So, if let's say there's something on the belt that is sharp, and then it wounds me, that's my physical health already affected.
Yeah.
Do you see the connection? So the way we feel surely affects our physical health. Psychologists know that it is complex. It is complex, but they are interconnected. There's simply no how you'd say how you feel about something doesn't connect to how you look. If I'm feeling angry now, Lois, you see it on my face, like I'll be burning and all. You get so. Our physical health is mental health, our emotions are very connected to our physical health.
Now, when you said this, it reminded me of my uncle telling me of a lady that had ulcer. And anytime she was angry, it triggered like her ulcer, like it triggered it, like she would have to take medication for that. And I think it was one of those times where we had these things where you're angry and then it's just trying to tell you that everything is not always that bad, you have to calm down. But he said he was just relating it to how our emotions actually affect our physical health. He said whenever she was angry, she always had an attack. She always had to go back to the hospital, always had to take her medication. And it also relates, just like you said, to how our emotions, how being stable actually does help with our body. But there's one thing I'd also like us to talk about, our longevity, how long we live. We believe most times is eat healthy, exercise, work out, it helps you look younger, it helps with your how long you live and all of that, keeps you in shape, you look younger than what your usual age. But Now, as we've just spoken, relating our mental health, how does this affect or also impact our longevity on Earth?
Scientists have found that the people who have mental health disorders have their lifespan shortened by 10 to 25 years.
Whoa.
That's whooping. That's
a whole...
Yeah. And I'm actually kind of... Okay, I feel kind of afraid because, I cope with bipolar disorder already. So it's like... So that means if I'm 50, I should...
You should be thinking, oh, you have just 10 years more. No.
Yeah, but the way you... Okay, let me give you an example. I lose a loved one, for example, and I'm grieving. That can bring so much stress. It can make me overthink. When I'm overthinking, I'm not paying attention to things that are important. Let's say my diet, for instance, or my work, or things that give me joy, my hobbies, because I'm overthinking. I'm thinking that I can think up the situation, a solution to the problem, which is not possible. Yeah. So because of that, that habit of overthinking has a ripple effect into other things. Yeah. So that's why they have said that someone's lifespan reduces by some years because of some mental health disorders or inability to cope with some situations that are stressful or adverse.
Well, that would be on... I want to believe that quite a number of us, most especially living in Nigeria or living in Africa, sometimes are not mentally stable, We
are not, actually.
But I want to believe that for our lives being cut short by 10 or 20 years, that should be for like extreme cases. I hope not for mild situations like ours.
It's for, say, psychosis or schizophrenia or bipolar, like I mentioned earlier. It's not exactly for... maybe just very bad.
Just 5 minutes madness. Yeah. We all have 5 minutes madness. Well, now, I'd like us to talk about this thing. They say the absence of negative emotions does not necessarily mean that there is a presence of positive emotions. What does that mean?
Now that you've asked this question, I just thought to myself, why do we have to classify emotions into negative, which is bad, and positive, which is good, or which is thought of as good and then thought of as bad? Why? Paul Ekman, one of the leading psychologists years back, decided to mention the emotions that we have as humans. He mentioned about 6: anger, fear, disgust, happiness, surprise. What was the 6th one? I don't remember again, but there are 6. Okay, so people now took it further and then put 5 under negative, then happiness, which is just 1 under positive.
Only 1.
Yeah, and then...
surprise should be positive too, no?
I suppose, okay. I suppose so, yeah. And others now said to break it down more, so that we'll have 8, we'll have 10, we'll have 16. But now, it's not really about if this emotion is bad. It is how you're able to feel it. So the idea is, am I getting better at feeling, which is what an emotion is? Or I just want to force myself to feel better. So I don't subscribe to positive emotions and negative emotions. I subscribe to feeling through your emotions. If I feel joy all the time, and then I hurt you and I don't feel guilty, can you say that because I feel joy all the time, in that instance, that joy is a good emotion, a positive emotion? No. So it is how often we feel it, how strongly we feel it, and how much you dwell on it. So I should feel guilty if I hurt someone. I should feel hopeless if my project that I've worked hard on for years is obviously going down the drain. Like, it's not about don't give a worker that this one is bad, this one is like it's not working. Yeah. So that feeling of being hopeless should make me say, okay, let me try something else. So, but humans will say being hopeless is a negative emotion. Do you get my point? Yeah. So because we've labeled them negative, positive, it now says, so do all you can to feel positive all the time. Then what about those emotions that remain, like sadness, like guilt? They are there for a reason in your body. So I don't think that they are put there to just judge us already. I think they are put there for us to do something good for a reason. So when I help my clients who tell me, I want to kill myself, I just tell them, what is the name of the emotion you are feeling? It is this. Okay. How often have you dealt on it? Too often. All right. How strongly does it make you feel? Do you understand? So I'm using questions to change their thinking. So often, it's not the emotion, it is that it is distorted. It's the meaning of what that emotion tells them that is a problem. Well, what meaning they derive from the emotion that is a problem. So they feel sad, that means the world is going to end. Do you see? So, but I feel sad. Finish.
What should I do?
What should I do? So not that the world is going to say, oh, she's stupid, she's mad. No, it's not that. So the meaning that we give to emotions is often what makes it distorted. Even if, there are some emotions that are exaggerated, uncomfortable, but not negative in themselves. If I cry because someone has died, it's not a negative emotion that I'm feeling.
Funny enough, people even ask you to cry because it helps you release
Exactly.
something.
So I don't subscribe to negative emotions and positive emotions. I subscribe to emotions. How well do I feel my emotions? If you feel through it, then you're able to be clear enough to deal with it as well as you should.
Well, we've been on health and well-being with Lois Nwobodo, and I told you she's also an author of a book, Who Am I? We'll be talking about this book where she gives us, takes us down how she has been able to contain her disorder, bipolar. But that will be when we come back from this short break. Do stay with us.
Following the sudden outbreak of cholera in some parts of the Federal Capital Territory, significant number of cases have been tested positive for cholera. The Health and Human Services Secretariat has intensified surveillance in the affected communities around the area council. Therefore, residents are requested to report any case of diarrhea to the nearest health facility or the Department of Public Health on the following numbers: Dr. Sadiq Abdurrahman, 0803-705-1784, or Dr. Doris John, 0803-315-6560. Ensure that the water used for domestic purpose is clean, boiled and filtered. Start ORS immediately you have diarrhea. Ensure that all food is properly cleaned and well cooked before consumption. Ensure that fecal waste are hygienically disposed of. Do not defecate in the open or into streams. Houses with surface wells should make sure they are covered all the time. Public Health Department, FCT Health and Human Services Secretariat. Announcer.
Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is Health and Wellbeing on ASU Television. Before we went on the break, I've been here with Lois Nwobodo, who has been discussing how our mental health affects our physical health. And before we went on the break, I said we're going to talk about her book, Who Am I?, and how she has been able to journey through her disorder, bipolar. So I think this would be like the more personal one-on-one part. When we talk about your book, Who Am I? And like you said, it's actually a chronicle of how you've been able to go through your disorder. Tell us about this.
I'd like to add the tagline, transforming self-sabotage and fear into phenomenal inner power and lasting self-confidence. That's actually the whole title of the book.
Yeah.
So in 2018, December, I had a mental breakdown. And so my family came to my help. They took me and then brought me here, Abuja, to be treated by the psychiatrist. Now, I remember that years before then, I had spoken to a friend about seeing a psychologist. But that would take me 20 years before I could see one. And so all through those 20 years, I was just existing in life. Like, I didn't know what my emotions were. I didn't know how to feel them. I didn't know how to express them. I didn't know how they affected me. I was just living life the way I thought I should, because that was the childhood I had, you know. So in the book, I decided to write everything that I experienced before then, at the time, and afterwards, so that other people who may be confused, who are seeking some kind of clarity, can find one in a book. And they should also know that it is okay not to be okay mentally. It is just the way I'm not okay with COVID and with malaria and everything like that. So that was really the reason why I wrote who am I? Like, who am I really? Am I just a bag of uncomfortable emotions that will just burst all the time? You know, how can I live life to the full and enjoy it the way I want to? Why is it that some people can feel things really deeply and then some cannot? Those are all the things I addressed in the book.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it's helping people in my life to have an anchor, as it were, something that they can hold on to. Someone that they can say, yes, this is my benchmark. This is someone that passed through this, so I too can survive. So, you know how it is here in Africa, we are very conservative about things like this. We feel like
Very, very.
she has had juju, they make it spiritualistic and all. But I did not mind. I said I was going to talk about this as fully as possible so that the whole world will know that you can be okay. That
It's
you
okay
can,
not to be okay.
yeah, and that even then you can still enjoy life. You can still enjoy life to the full.
So tell us, I just want you to tell us, because from our viewers, obviously, we would have some people that are actually going through extreme emotions. That's bipolar, you know, you're extremely happy or just extremely so sad. How was it for you going through this?
It was one of the most trying times in my life. I'll be honest with you. There were times when someone else had to think for me. Like, I couldn't actually think out things. I felt blocked mentally, like there was this kind of fog in my head. And then things that looked very normal, very easy to do, I couldn't do them. I was almost always tired. It comes with tiredness. And I was also suicidal. I thought so much about suicide. I would think about, oh, should I go and buy this sniper or jump into the well or something like that. You know, it was tough. Even if I had my friendship with Jehovah, but there was just something that I was not doing that I should have been doing to complement that, you know. So he helped me, of course, to be alive, at least because I didn't want to break his law and commit suicide. But I still had to fill the gaps. There was just some emptiness that came from not knowing how to live with my emotions. So at that time, I felt very empty, I should say. I felt always tired, like I said. I felt even more confused, very suicidal. My family, I don't know how they coped with me then, because this second we are gisting, and then if you just do something small, I'll just spark like, they feel like, what's now? You get, so it was tough.
So how has it been now? You know, having gone through therapy and everything. Did you get to a point where you were under medication?
Yeah. I just took a break even. I'm always on medication. I just took a break from it. And then I'm trying alternative therapy. I'm trying somatic therapy. I'm trying exercise, mind healing, other things. Just something else apart from medication to see how it works. Yeah, so you said I should say what again? What was the question you asked me?
No, how it has been for you so far now, recovering and all of that.
I used to think that it was linear, that healing is linear.
From point A
yeah,
to point
you
B.
found the problem, you got the medication, you're doing stuff, you're fine. Not like that. Healing from bipolar disorder is very, what do you call this now?
Meandering, very
yeah, it's not
complicated.
straight, complicated. Today you're fine, you're bubbly, you're on top of your game, you're doing everything that you can, you're just smashing your goals, and then the next thing, everything just falls like a pack of cards, and like, oh, we are here again. Yeah, so it requires that you are alert, very sensitive to what could make you go down. You know, so I've had many relapses, you know, but I know that just as the other one passed, this one too will pass. So, and I'm grateful to those around me. They're my support system. I can just call someone and say, I'm thinking this, so I'm thinking that. The person says, it's not like that. They'll just help me think for me, see things from another perspective. So I think for anyone that is passing through any kind of trauma that needs to heal, don't assume that because you found a solution, it's going to go like that you'll be fine. I'm not saying this so that you feel bad. I'm just telling you that even if this would happen, there's still hope. That I'm saying. And so don't be too hard on yourself. Don't think that I'll be fine. No. because it took years for you to come to that situation. So it may take years too for you to be well. So, but I'm at a point where, like I said, I could pause the drugs, the pills, and then I can try something else. So that means that there's progress. So imagine since 2019 until now, I'm still here. So there's progress. You can make progress if you are not too hard on yourself and you take it one day at a time. Yeah.
So now, you said something that sparked, you said there was a time you told someone you needed to see a therapist or a psychologist, but it took you 20 years before you were able to get one. And I believe it was even your family that actually took you to one. At what point will someone that is going through some meltdown, at what point or before you even get to the meltdown, at what point should someone seek the help of a psychologist?
Now, today, every time. There's no specific time when you should go and see a therapist. Every day. We have family doctors. We have people that can call and say, see you, I'm having a headache or something like that, also, or whatever. So, if we have family doctors that we can just call upon for physical ailments, we should have someone that can just call upon and say this. So, don't wait until it's gone so bad, until you are being forgetful, until you cannot concentrate on one thing, until you are being too tired before you now go and say, let me go and see these people. Until you just cry for no reason. Don't wait until that time. See a therapist now. I see a therapist every time. I have one online, I have one physically. Just to keep, so that in case this one is not around, there's another one. So that doesn't mean I have subscribed to being weak or I have resigned to the illness. No. I'm simply being grateful for the chance to enjoy life this way. I'm differently abled, as they say. So I do not think that therapy is a thing to be ashamed of. It is a joy. It's a privilege to say something to somebody and the person can feel better. To me, it's like the biggest thing. Like just saying something to someone and then you're fine.
Yeah.
That's a miracle. So go and see a therapist now. If you feel that my emotions are too intense, if you feel that this emotion is coming up more often and that you dwell on it too much, see a therapist. Yeah.
Now, there's one thing about, we've spoken about it sometimes because of the discussion, where in this part of the world, Africa, Nigeria, we don't necessarily take our mental health serious, just like we said, sometimes we even just alienate it. When someone says, I need to see a psychologist, the person is like, this person don't know what he's doing, you understand? Makes it look like it's not a big deal, it's not a serious problem. And that is actually a problem, just having that thing where you don't take your mental health seriously, you feel some kind of way, like, I'm feeling somehow, like you said, and there is actually no definition for that. How do we get to the point where we're able to overcome this and understand that priority has to be given to our mental health?
This is one of the ways. What we're doing now, and those who are seeing us, is one of the ways, talking about it. I listened to, I've forgotten her name, there's this Indian actress that is very beautiful and popular. So she was saying that I can just call my friend and say, Lois, how far? I'm fine. I have cough. See, your voice is somehow. Okay, so if you can notice that my voice is somehow, and so maybe I have cough, why can't I just tell you I'm having thoughts of suicide? Like, as normal as that.
No, it can't be normal in this part of the world.
I'll give you an example. Like, it should be seen as normal. Like, I'm having cough, that's physical ailment. I'm having depression, that's mental ailment. I can't have it. I can't talk about it. So I think accepting that mental health isn't vague, isn't spiritualistic, isn't unreal, is the first step. If the person that thought about, let me add okra and pepper so that it will become okra soup, if you just thought about it and then didn't do it, we'll not have the soup today, okra soup today. But he thought about it and then put that idea into action. So my point is that things that we see around us that are physical are all products of somebody's thoughts, somebody's mental health. So those physical things wouldn't have been if that person didn't talk about that idea to somebody else, because he couldn't have done it by himself.
Yeah.
Right. So seeing mental health as a reflection of physical things, or physical things as a reflection of mental health, can help you. So to easily say to your friend, I'm feeling disgusted, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling angry. And you know how men are being thought about as weak because they cry. Or women are being thought about as
strong because you don't
because they're assertive. Yeah. So you shouldn't be angry because you're a woman, and you shouldn't cry because you're a man. Human, there's man inside. Human.
So all men actually.
So when we are able to understand that mental health comes out to the physical, that can help us. So I think that we should make that shift. Connect your mental health to physical things. Anchor it to physical things. What you wear is what you thought about. What you eat is what you thought about. If you are going to somewhere, you gave thought to it. It is mental health. So if your thought is telling you everywhere is bad, tell somebody. The way you tell somebody, okay, please, I'm going to Jerusalem. Do you get my point?
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Lois, for taking our time to be here with us. But before we round up on the program, I'd like you to just give a word of advice to our audience out there.
Oh, there are plenty of things I want to say.
As few as you can.
Okay. First of all, I'd love to say that you as a person, you as a human, has almost everything you need inside to think and feel better. Do not think that your circumstances will condemn who you can be. Do not think that because you feel this way, you always feel this way. No, you can be transformed to know how to move from difficult emotions to more pleasant ones, to easier ones, as long as you learn. And do not condemn people who you term as motivational speakers. They are simply helping you to think and feel better. So reach out to books, reach out to people, study, learn, ask yourself, why do I think the way I think? Why do I feel the way I feel? How can I feel better, think better? If my reality isn't where I want it to be, what can I do to shift it? Ask questions, ask yourself questions, ask them questions, and do not follow the crowd. The fact that somebody is in something or the whole world is in something doesn't mean that it is true, it is correct. Create your own path, because you were born to this here on earth alone from your mother's womb. She pushed you out alone, not with me, not with Lois, not with somebody else, right? So create your own path by learning as much as you can about yourself. Create your own self-awareness, create your own reality. Find mind tools like visualization, meditation, and things like that to help you paint a better future, right? I think I should let me stop here so that I don't say too much.
That's for as few as you can. Well, thank you very much, Lois. I sincerely appreciate your presence. And you can check out her book, Who Am I? By Lois Nwobodo. And I believe it will help all of us be able to, like she said, create a path for ourselves and work with an understanding that we are all different and can actually weather whatever storm we find ourselves in. Well, that's the size of our package today on health and well-being. Do keep it a date with us same time next week. I am Lois. Up for Sambo. Do stay safe.